All right, there you go.
So there you go. So as I was saying, just other duties as assigned. And I've recently become a Nearpod certified educator, and Nearpod is awesome to use remotely and in the classroom. And just lover of all the things. So I find that when I'm putting together activities and things, I want to put everything in one. So there'll be tech and math and, you know, higher level thinking, and just I like to put everything all into one activity instead of doing an activity for each thing we're trying to teach. So, and as Nicole put, I am a certified Jamboard junkie. So Jamboard is definitely my jam. We have kind of a little love affair going on, so maybe you'll love it too by the end. There you go. So to Nicole.
All right, and I'm Nicole Chun, and this year I am the TOSA of Instructional Technology, Professional Development, and Leveled Learning, but that didn't fit on there. And we're trying to make professional development in our schools more fun and more engaging and more applicable to what our teachers are interested in. I've been teaching, this is my 21st year in education, and I have taught all the grades pretty much, except middle school, strangely. And because I also work in that same small district, I have been called upon to take on many of the same kinds of duties. And in fact, that's sort of how Michelle and I got to know each other over the years, is that we were on every district committee together, just everyone, all of them. And I too enjoy my micro credentials. And if there's a badge for it, I probably did it, because I don't know, I need a badge and a sticker for everything. I am that obnoxious attention deficit kid that grew up to be a teacher. So I do things for stickers and lots of input. And I click everything. I always tell people the reason I know how tech works is just because I click stuff without any fear. And I'm extremely opinionated about the role of play in education. And I think that playing, sometimes even just for playing's sake, there's a lot of learning that can happen. And so that's kind of how we arrived at this. Is we saw teachers were just stressed and burned out, and we were like, you know what, these teachers need to have some fun. And so we started doing more play-based professional development with our teachers. All right. Awesome. And Michelle is absolutely a Jamboard junkie, and that's where we're starting. Like twice a week, she calls me or texts me like, did you know you could do this on Jamboard? Did you know you could do that?
Jamboard is awesome, just saying. And especially during distance learning, my love of it has just grown exponentially. And so I'm hoping that you'll join in the Jamboard fun with us this morning. So let's get jamming. 4-4's activity. So if you guys have read Jo Boaler or know about her, she does Mindset Mathematics. UCubed is a phenomenal website if you teach math at all. In any capacity, UCubed is phenomenal for resources, and they have a whole like starting week activity. And so I actually started a couple of years ago, starting my first day of school with a 4-4's activity. We don't even do rules or introductions or any of that stuff. We just start with an activity right away to get the kids engaged. So we're gonna try out this 4-4's activity. So on this link for the Jamboard, so I'm gonna copy it here. So if you open up that Jamboard link, it's gonna take you to this 4-4's activity. And so here's how 4-4's works. With the 4-4's activity, you have the number 4, and you need to use it exactly 4 times. Oh. Go figure. Oh, I didn't change it outside of our district. There we go. All right, let's try that one more time. There we go, now we see people. So with the 4-4's activity, what I did was I just created on Jamboard. The Jamboard slides are really easy. It's just the numbers 1 through 20. When I did it in the classroom, I would put the numbers 1 through 20 just up onto the board. And so the, we'll change it to edit. There we go. So we would put the numbers 1 through 20 up on the board, and then the students just instantly start working on putting the number 4 together. So I'm gonna Anybody have one they want to start with, or you can flip through the slides if anything dawns on you. The one that I love to do is the number 2. And the other thing I love about Jamboard is that you can use your stylus or Apple Pencil and your tablet. So if you have an iPad, Jamboard has an app. And so I actually can write on my tablet with my Apple Pencil or my stylus, and it shows up on the screen that the students are looking at. So the one that I like to start with, just as an example, and you guys can feel free to fill it in anywhere, but I like to start with the number 2. So the number 2 can be written as, oh, somebody beat me to it. 4 divided by 4 plus 4 divided by 4. So it shows how we're using order of operations. It also helps me to assess kids' knowledge of order of operations. I teach middle school, so they should have order of operations pretty well down by the time they get to my 8th grade math class, but sometimes they don't. But it's a fun way to see how they're doing. And then as a teacher, and so I see, like, you guys can go ahead and start playing and fill in anyone that you know. I put kids in breakout rooms and they would work together. So I actually gave each group a slides 1 through 20 and had them work on it in a breakout room. You could do a whole class like this. You could do them one at a time. Like I said, you can do it on your big whiteboard. And that's really fun. I gave the kids all their individual whiteboards, and then we had a big whiteboard. And so they would test out their numbers when they're sitting at their desk on their individual whiteboard, and then they'd go to the big one and write them up as soon as they had one. The first time I did this, I actually had kids that stayed in at break and ended up in another teacher's classroom because they didn't want the kids in my classroom to see their answers. And they were trying to come up with, it was either 13 or 17. One of them's really tough. And they spent their entire lunch until they finally conquered it. And it dealt with a factorial in order to get it when they did it. So I didn't even know my 8th graders knew about factorials, but you find out these little gems about them also. So let's see how. So the only rule is the number 4 times. Oh, we got some exponents going there. So these would be teachable moments. For these, although these statements are both true, they're not using the number 4. So we want to make sure that we use the number 4 exactly 4 times. And you can have any math operation, parentheses, etc. But it has to be the number 4. So these are looking good. So these, same thing, we want to change these, see how we can arrange them to the number 4. And this is exactly how I do it with the kids. We just start wherever we start. Oh, here's some parentheses going on. We've got parentheses, then multiplication. For this one, we make sure we follow order of operations. So if we have 4 times 4 is 16, minus 4, I would have kids explain. They would check each other's answers. So the kids actually start to check, and they'll actually write like notes like, no, this doesn't work. Or they'll start to solve them out. They like check each other's. So I, as the teacher, don't even have to do all of it. And the nice part that I like about this activity is there's flexibility. They could experiment with the numbers, and whatever number they come up with, they just go to that slide and fill it in. It's not like they have to keep trying for the same number. Eventually they get narrowed down, and the goal is to have, at least one solution per slide. So yeah, we have 4 plus 4 plus 4, 16, good. Those are looking great. So these look awesome. And some of them may occur to you as I talk about leveling up. So our next step is to level up. I took this then, so after we've done the 4 4s activity and the kids have explained how they got their solutions to each other and to us as a class, I leveled it up, and I wanted to know more about the students themselves. So that evening, and we started it in class and then they finished it for an assignment. That evening, the students created an all about me 4 4s. So they had to come up with 4 numbers that represented themselves. And then for each of those 4 numbers, they had to write a 4 4s equation to go with it. So I started with this one that was about me, and this is kind of how we wrapped up that class. then I shared about myself. So this is my 18th year of teaching. And then we talked about factorials a little bit, introduced the idea of those. And then these are some pictures. So the only rules for this 4-4s activity was I didn't want words. I wanted pictures to represent the kids. And they all made slides, a single slide about themselves. So mine was 20 years of being married. I have 4 kids and I visited 26 states. Yes, I have a whole area of the US that we still have to get to, but we're making our way across. So, and the things that the kids came up with were so cute and taught me so much more about them, their math ability and everything else than your standard go around the room and introduce yourself that we might do. So I really, really loved this extension of the activity, especially. That's what got me really excited about it. And it's just a totally different way to approach getting to know kids in a math class. So, and then the coolest part was after they presented them, I actually put all of their slides together and made like a little video presentation where the slides flipped through with music and shared it out with all of the parents. So it was this awesome teaching moment to all the parents of, look at all the awesome things that your kids are already going to do on the first day of school. So very, very cool. Then, because Jamboard is awesome, and I saw a note in there, yeah, the students can delete things on the pages, and that's where you as a teacher kind of moderate. The nice thing is you can easily put one back because the only thing that's on there is just a number. You can easily put the slide back and we can add the things back. So it's not too bad for this kind of an activity. When I did it with my students over Zoom, like I said, I created 4 or 5 of these and I put the kids in breakout rooms and they worked in smaller groups. And so there's more ownership when they're working in smaller groups to not mess things up because they're trying to compete against the other groups and try and come up with at least one problem for everyone before the other groups do and like report back. So we have a little competition that goes on with it. So, all right. Let's see. So other things that you can do with Jamboard that I actually absolutely love. If you haven't checked out math reps are awesome. They are kind of like all the things related. So Lisa Nowakowski because I probably said that wrong, sorry. I had it right? Okay, good. I'm like, but they have a whole collection. So if you go onto their website, I selected the middle school one, but they have them for all grade levels. You can also assign Jamboards to each individual student in Google Classroom. And you can have it assigned as make a copy for each student. So if you have students that are messing with each other's slides, you can assign these as make a copy for each student through Google Classroom. And then if they delete their stuff, they're only deleting it for themselves. And then you'll be able to see what they're working on as well by scrolling through your Google Classroom feed. And yes, Sherry, excellent point. That was one of the things I just shared with Nicole 2 days ago. I'm so excited. Jamboard's coming up with a revision history. So Jamboard's made significant improvements over the year. You can add pictures as backgrounds now. That's new. The text boxes, etc. So the one I wanted to show you just as an example of how you might use a math rep is this is an example of a math rep using signed numbers. So as a teacher, the only thing you have to do is assign this item, and then you would give them numbers A and B. So for this, you might say that, number A is 2 and number B is -3. And then the kids do all of these math operations with those 2 numbers. And so the first day you would teach it to them and you'd walk through it step by step of how they do it, how you build a number line, how you use the algorithm, etc. And then the other days of the week, you just give them new numbers and they repeat the process. And so it's all of these skills. I love to standard stack. We want to put all of the standards in constant review. We're really not in a place where our kids are asked to just add for a whole page of adding all at once. That's not going to be their reality when it comes to assessment and real life. So We want them to be able to quickly go between math operations. But there's some phenomenal examples. So this one's on ratios and proportions. As I said, this one's on signed numbers. They have one on rational numbers. So if you wanted to get fractions and decimals in there, really phenomenal resources. So like I said, check out Math Reps. There's all kinds of other things on here. There's Google Slides games. Let's see. I did one about math activities. So this is math activities that we've gone over. And I'll just show it real quick, but we won't go over them. But there's 3-Act Math. If you haven't checked out Steve Wyborny and 3-Act Math, make sure that you check that out. There's a 3-Act Math on here where it leads you through the inquiry method. So there's a short clip and they have to predict what happens. And then they are given a little bit of information and do some calculations. And then they have to draw a conclusion to answer the original question. And then often there's an extension. So they were trying to figure out how many blocks, and it was actually about fractions. So it's them computing with fractions. I put in there, these activities are also on Desmos. So if you haven't checked out Desmos is awesome. But essentially they're trying to put together numbers where you try and make the greatest sum possible. The kids are going to do way more math problems doing one of these than if you had given them a worksheet, because they're going to try and experiment and test out the different numbers, and they're all going to do it inquiry based instead of, here's a list of problems and compute the answers. So check out all of those fun things. These are kind of the ways that we approach math in my classroom. We play Battleship to do equations. We've got math operations with Gabriel's problem. I do picture puzzles for equations with them trying to solve the picture equations, just all kinds of things. So all things fun and math related. Math is definitely my jam along with Jamboard. So there you go. All right, so switching over to Nicole.
Okay, so and I have been teaching long enough that I used to make those PowerPoint Jeopardy games and Hollywood Squares games and whatnot. And then of course, when things like Kahoot and quizzes started to be available to us, I was all over that. And the one I'm really excited about lately is Blukit. It's a really fun iteration of that kind of idea. And recently I was in a 4th grade class that was doing a digital breakout, and when it became recess time, the kids were asking if they could play Blukit at recess, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So I kind of stuck around, and it had been 2 4th grade classes that were combined, and one 4th grade teacher had been using Blukit and the other one had not. And the kids from the other class were like, hey, what's that? And by the time recess became like 80 kids playing a Blukit game that one of the kids was hosting. And it was just really amazing to watch. So I thought I'd share it today if you haven't seen it. So Blukit is kind of a game-based, gamified game, and it's free. There's a free version and a paid version, and the free version is pretty robust. You can have up to, I think, 60 participants play, and you can import from Quizlet, or you can make your own. And there's also a library of ones that have already been made. So you just create an account, and once you sign in, you have all of your sets of cards, and you can host a variety of different games with it. So I have a couple of fun ones. We can play this one. And the nice thing is, one of the things I really like about it is the kids played it without having to see the shared screen. You can play separately. So when kids have either devices that it's harder to manage 2 windows, the Zoom window and the game window, or they don't have 2 devices or anything like that, you can actually still do it just being in your game window, which I thought was kind of nice. So I'll host one of these. And they have all these different game modes that you can play. And they tell you kind of what they recommend in terms of numbers of players and sort of an idea. I'll do Gold Quest because it's kind of a quick, fast-paced game. All you're doing is answering questions, and then you pick a treasure chest, and it'll give you either gold or an option to steal someone else's gold, or you lose gold, or different things will happen. And so it's kind of fast-paced, and it's really fun. Like I said, the 3 teachers and 80 kids, it was amazing to play. So we'll set a really short game. We'll just play like a little 3-minute game. You can set it for time or an amount of gold. You can go ahead and show the instructions. You can allow, and then of course you can have a name randomizer, but we're adults, so I'm gonna host it. And it plays similarly to, you know, Kahoot or quizzes. So let me copy the join link and drop it in the chat. I always forget where the chat is when I'm screen sharing. And we'll just give everybody a minute to join us, and I want to play. All right, give it about 30 seconds to do because I want to put myself in. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and start our game. If you want to get in there, let me drop the link one more time. And let's play. All right. Okay. And we can see. And the cool thing is the kids, we played unmuted, and it was just funny because I think the teachers are just as competitive as the kids, and we were like, you stole my gold. And what I love is that, you know, if you're doing, we were doing math facts with the kids, and you know, they're getting a lot of repetition, a lot of practice in a really fun way, and it's super motivating. And my daughter is like a huge critic of what she calls pretend games in education. She's 7, and like, she's like, the teacher said we were going to play a game, but it just had game elements. It wasn't a game. And she loves Blue Kit. I can get her to do anything if we play Blue Kit. And we have about a minute and a half to get that gold. And I did not discover Blue Kit when I had students in the classroom. I'm really excited to actually play it with kids in person and see it and experience it that way. So I think it, you know, works in both environments for sure. Yeah. And the other thing I really like about Blue Kit is that if kids are able to create their own accounts, it's also got its own gamified elements where they collect coins and can buy new Blukes, their little icons. And we have our final standings. Congratulations to our top 3. Chat's in my way. And then it provides you with a basic report, and you can download just how students do it. It's not as robust as some reports, but you can do item analysis, and you could use this again for your Fast and the Curious if you're using that Edu protocol. And another thing that I really like, I don't know why it does that, about Bluekit is the fact that you have all of these multiple game modes that mimic a lot of games that people play on tablets and online. Race is probably the simplest version. Gold Quest plays quickly, but these games, this is like those tycoon games. This is a mini RPG, which is great for, it's a homework only one, and it is great for independent asynchronous time. So I really like it. It's really simple. The free version gives you a lot. The big differences are there's one additional game, and you can have up to 1,000 participants in most of the game modes if you have the paid version. And it's really inexpensive, but most people don't need more than 60 participants in a game. And I think the only other difference is the folders to organize your decks in. I think that's a plus version. But again, it was a really amazing experience to see how the fourth graders were just so into it. And so I knew I wanted to share that. And I think it's super fun. So, and like I said, my own picky child is willing to play that, and she doesn't feel like I'm conning her with a fake games.
Nicole, there was a question about the questions. Is there a bank of questions, or
yes? So there are a couple ways you can make your quiz decks that you can. My brain just went blank. You can import them from Quizlet. The one that we played, I made just because if I wanted to put images in there, there is a library where you can discover and take from other user created ones. And you can, I don't think you can import questions. I would have to double check on that, but yes. So most of the ones that I have, I imported from Quizlet, but the one I made, like with the images I made, because I specifically picked those cartoons because I was hoping someone would feel nostalgic for some of them like I did.
Okay. Awesome.
Now, that's right. Oh, sorry, I have another slide that I was supposed to share. But okay. So again, of course, you can do similar things with a lot of other online quiz platforms, and we just listed a few. You know, obviously I think the gateway for most of us was Kahoot, and you know, we all went in different directions, or maybe even Quizlet or Quizlize, because those are some of the older ones. I really like 99 Math. It is math based only, but the kids really enjoy it, and they keep adding content, which is great. And I love GymKit. The free version is less viable in the classroom, unfortunately, but it's also, I like the feature that you can have like questions with lots of reps and things like that. And then Michelle's going to take over to share one of our favorite things to share, honestly. Awesome. I'm glad that some of you were enjoying it. I really do. I think it's really fun.
I love the stealing of the gold.
Yes.
All right. So this is kind of a take on, some of us have in the past had kids create like a comic strip or something like that to demonstrate sequence of events. We put lots of different, so I'll kind of start here. There's all different things you can do with animations. This animation actually is Drowning Ophelia. So if any of you do high school, you'll know the story of her drowning. And so we actually created it on the spot during one of our Tech Tuesdays. So, but there's all kinds of ideas. There's, you know, the rock cycle, the life cycle of a butterfly, or whatever it is. There's all kinds of things where you want to demonstrate a sequence of events with your students. And so this is a really fun strategy for how kids can create their own GIF to demonstrate the order. I've used it in math where I wanted them to show the order that they do the steps of solving an equation. So they're going to solve an equation and they want to show the steps to solving. And so I'm going to put this link should have you make your own copy. So you're going to make your own copy of, I created one for the Very Hungry Caterpillar. So if you teach primary, you know this story very well. You have this happy little caterpillar and he goes about his day eating things. And by the end, he gets really, really fat. And then he builds a cocoon and then he turns into a beautiful butterfly. And so it kind of teaches the life cycle of the butterfly. So you guys should, hopefully that's working. That should have you make your own copy. And so what you're going to do is we're going to tell the story of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And so what I did for the students was I pre-did all of these images around the outside. And so this is like their blank canvas. And so my primary kids, they just have to take and click and drag the items onto the slide and put them where they want them instead of them being out searching for all of the pictures and things that they will need. So I might start with the Very Hungry Caterpillar was on a leaf. So I'm going to make my leaf bigger, maybe put my leaf down here. My little caterpillar is going to be crawling on the leaf. So here's my little caterpillar. I have him crawling on the leaf so happily. So there he is. All right. And so to make a GIF, what you're going to do is you're going to create the slides in order. So I would take the first slide and I would design it however I want. They can add other things, like they might want to add that the sun was shining, you know, and they can, again, adjust the size of anything on there so they can have their bright sun. So here's the sun shining on my little caterpillar. And then what you do is you go over to this slide over on the left on the slide viewer panel here, and you're going to copy it and paste it. And then you're going to take your little caterpillar and we're going to move him. And then I'm going to copy it and paste it. So I'm going to paste it again. And now I'm going to move my caterpillar some more. And then I would copy it and paste it. And I'm going to move my caterpillar even more. So he's going to go down here. And then I'm going to copy it and paste it and move him some more. So here's my little caterpillar and he might change directions. So I'm building here a little bit of movement with my caterpillar. So now if you start at the top and you flip down through your slides, you'll see your caterpillar starting to move. So the key thing with the students is they want to set up their slide with all of the background images and things that they want on it first before they start copying and pasting and creating the movement, because otherwise they'll have to add the items after, which is a few more steps. But it's kind of like doing stop motion, but with slides. I don't know if any of your kids have experimented with stop motion. So it's like stop motion with slides. So I'll give you guys a minute or so to kind of play with it. You can add, you know, like on the first day he ate the apple. So now the apple is going to show up and I might copy. And so I need my caterpillar to move closer because he's going to gobble up that apple. So, and I might move this. If I change the order, I can send it to the back. So now it really looks like he's on top of this apple. And copy and paste, and we're gonna gobble up that apple. And the cool thing is, because this is a background here, I can actually make the apple start to disappear like he really is gobbling it up. That's kind of what we did with Ophelia. We dragged her down a little at a time. So here we have our caterpillar. Now, if I were to scroll through these, I have my caterpillars moving, they're the apple, etc. Okay. So then there's a website that I found. There's all kinds of other tools that you can use to make a GIF, but the simplest one I found is this website called Tall Tweets. So I'm going to paste that link in there. So if you feel like you're ready to give your slide deck an experiment here. So we're going to go to Tall Tweets. And you want to do where it says classic. And this is literally as simple as it gets. So all you do is say select presentation. The kids are going to pick their slide, and we love Google because it always puts the most recent ones on top. So the thing you were just editing is going to be right there on top, and then you say select. So it's going to convert it, and it's going to take my Google slide presentation and turn it into a moving GIF. And it does take a minute, especially because I'm sharing on Zoom, it takes a little bit longer. So I leave everything the same. The only thing you have to select is the slide duration. So I want each one of my slides to appear for 0.4 of a second. Usually anywhere between 0.3 and 0.8 is a good range. 0.2 is a little fast. If you get into 0.8, 0.9, they're a little slow. So then you say create GIF. Once you set your time, and then you'll see it's going to play for you. So like I said, you can imagine this with the life cycle of a butterfly, or your rock cycle, or your water cycle of perspiration, things like that. We put all kinds of ideas on here. Solving equations, transformations, that one's awesome. Having the kids actually create how it goes to, this is an example of one that was done, but they have a really hard time in 8th grade. We do surface area and volume with everything with a circular base. And so trying to envision how the center of the wrapper becomes a rectangle and why we use the formula for area of a rectangle. So the kids actually can create all of these by moving them one thing at a time with their circles. It's phenomenal for showing steps. Also creating nets. I also found one, if you want to use pre-made GIFs, Math Warehouse has a ton of pre-made GIFs that are awesome to enhance your presentations, to really get that visual movement element that are already pre-done for you. Vocabulary, you can have parts of speech. I've done sentence diagramming where they had to show how the different sentence pieces went together. Character analysis, illustrating the steps to a story. Even more things, we've done them as exit tickets. So there's examples as exit tickets. You can also add GIFs to Jamboard. So this is brand new, woo woo, more Jamboard. But GIFs can now show on Jamboard. Well, they'll play on the Jamboard, and then the kids can follow the steps. If you were to make a GIF for the steps of solving an equation, then the kids could do it. So really, really love moving animations are where it's at as far as showing the steps of solving anything. And they're short. It's not like watching a long video, and it replays automatically. So the kids get the repetition instantly also. So I would love it. We'll try a little bit of interactivity. Did anybody think of a way that they could use a GIF in their classroom? And go ahead and toss it in the chat to everybody if you have any fun ideas that you thought of maybe during this presentation, or ways that you've used animations or GIFs in the classroom. Oh, see, think, wonder, nice.
Great.
Absolutely. Oh, slope triangles, high school teachers like it. Middle school and high school with slope. The other thing that got asked while you guys are responding, to find all of my pictures, what I did was I used this plus sign over here, and then I just searched for caterpillar. And if you type in JPEG, it usually will show with a transparent background, or sorry, PNG.
Super cool.
PNG, it'll show usually with a transparent background, but you'll be able to see them. So I just did caterpillar PNG, or you can search caterpillar transparent background and then you do images. And so you can see there's all kinds of images here. And they have, like, if I like this little guy better. So there he is with a transparent background. And then I usually click and remove the link so it doesn't get in the way of what the students are doing. But you could take and have that little guy as your caterpillar if you wanted. Oh yes, with sketch and tells.
Yeah, I saw that.
Edu protocol for the win. Nice. Oh, digestive system. Ooh, I like the idea of sentences. These are so creative. So you could kind of see like the sky's the limit. And the nice part for the students is it's just copy and paste. Like once they make their scene, it's copy and paste and a little bit of movement. And this Tall Tweets website does all of the hard work of making it flow in an animation. And then once you have your animation, you just say save, and then you can use that GIF anywhere that you want. So you as a teacher could create them. I've seen some really fun ones where teachers actually created GIFs as their Google Classroom banners, and it'll say like test today, and it'll flash test today over and over on their Google Classroom banner. So there's some fun ideas for teachers as well. Or if there's something you want them to remember, things like that. So, okay. All right. So I'm going to turn it back over to Nicole.
So we just have about 5 minutes left. And so just real quickly, I make a lot of games and slides and things like that that I can do with students either in class or online. And it doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to be a lot of teacher prep or work. I have a cupboard full of games in my classroom, but obviously when we went distance, I had to start thinking creatively. So I just shared a whole bunch of links for different ways that you can play as a group over Zoom or in different ways, or even in class, with kind of the web version of some of the more common games that you could play. Some of them are ad supported. Some of them, you have to kind of go through and pick and choose and see what works best for you. Scribble is like Pictionary. It is ad supported, but it is something you can play a whole class over a Google Meet or a Zoom. And then I also just have different slide games, like something simple like this, like can you guess the category, where you reveal a clue one at a time. So it's a ventricle, but not aorta. Ventricle fits the category, but aorta does not. And then what we like to do, like the Zoom waterfall, where everybody puts their answer in but doesn't push enter until I say go. And, all of the answers come in and we see what did they think it was. So it's ventricle fits the category, but not aorta, and send me your answer in the chat. And then all of the answers would come in and we would see if anybody gets it, or we would add another clue. Kidney, but not liver. So ventricle and kidney fit the category, but liver and aorta do not, and so on. So, and then I also have done it where it's just the category. And then I added, we have, obviously the why. Most of us know, there is an impact when kids are having fun, when our brain learns better, when we're engaged in some kind of play or enjoyment, and our memory is better. And then I just added some of the games that I have made for people to take advantage of use. This is the one I tested out on my daughter, and she approved it. So I always feel like that's the golden seal of approval, because my kid is super picky. And I think we are down to, so there's just lots of extra things in there. We planned it extra. We wanted to make sure we had enough content. As always, we overplanned. So we really appreciate everybody joining us. And if there's any other questions or ways we can help, we are here.
And I'm going to put the link again in the chat for anybody that joined us later. So thanks for the round of applause. Appreciate it. There's lots and lots of things. So if you have time later, there's lots to click on. So
Nicole,
feel free to explore.
Would you guys like to put up your contact information if anybody has any questions or like Twitter handles or anything like that?
Yep.
We'll do.
I'm also going to go ahead and put the spreadsheet in the chat as well. So if you're looking for your next session, you can go ahead and look at that. But yeah, definitely check out Michelle's and Nicole's contact information. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they'll answer your questions if you have any follow-up questions, because they're amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes. My understanding is that the recorded sessions are going to be available on the YouTube channel. Is that correct? Thank you so much.
Sorry, yes.
Yes, thank you guys so much for coming, and enjoy playing with your students. Like, we hope that you walked away and you're ready to engage and play with your kids, whether it be virtual or in person.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your ideas. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Hi, Janet. I wondered if that was you.
It is.
Oh, so good to see you. So good to see you. Have fun. Enjoy playing with the kids. Good luck.
Thank you. It's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed some of the primary stuff we tried to include, because I know you're a primary teacher.
Bye. See you later.
Very fun. Thank you. Oh, we have all these other people. Should we admit them? And I don't know.
No, it's the next session.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Assuming.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Nicole.
Oh, that's your thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Perfect.
Okay.